Project Zomboid has been treading a rocky path towards Build 42, one filled with drama, delays, dev harassment and public outrage, which ended in the Project Zomboid community getting split into two factions, one that despises the devs for breaking their promises and creating bad PR, and another that stands strong by the developers who urges the opposite side to let the devs cook a little longer whilst calling them ungrateful. This had affected the developers of Indiestone to the point where they were even considering selling the game altogether. To fully understand the recent drama, it's important to understand the relationship Indiestone has with this topic first, for Indiestone is no stranger when it comes to PR issues. Project Zomboid is hastily approaching the 12-year mark since it first got published as an early access game on Steam, with even more development time having been done before that. With the game having been under development for so long, it has naturally seen quite a few ups and downs already. Just like how in October 2011, the apartment of the two devs Lemmy and Captain Binky got broken into, which resulted in big amounts of the game's code being stolen. Following this ordeal, the dev and co-founder behind Indiestone named Lemmy, also known as Chris Simpson, received quite a bit of backlash for not having a backup for his game's code. In response to this fierce backlash, Lemmy decided to voice his opinion whilst being under the influence of alcohol, saying, "Most people get burgled and they lose their stuff. We get burgled and get this. Evil business, appreciate the love, I really do, XXX. And gonna go back into business programming, fuck games, totally not worth it, and much more." Pause the video if you want to read through it all. As this was unfolding on Twitter and Reddit, a similar response was given by the other dev named Captain Binky, which threw even more fuel on the dumpster fire that was already unfolding before them. Saying stuff like, "Don't like our game, don't fucking buy it. Reveling in us getting fucking burgled is a bit fucking low." Whilst he has a point, saying this while representing your game isn't quite ideal. In defense of the developers, some of these haters are the definition of human scum. Here's an example for those that are curious. Lemmy says, "Call me a con artist if you want. I'll take your fucking money and jump out of the fucking window." Which was followed up by this degenerate comment. "Haha, Lemmy really seems like he's going to kill himself because of how careless he was with his source code." The point of all this being, the developers behind Project Zomboid had a tragic burglary happen to them and had their hard work stolen. Which I can imagine is a total nightmare. And those that decided to kick the devs as they were down are total scum. However, unfortunately, they succeeded in baiting the developers to respond on a personal level, instead of dealing with the issue as a team and making a public statement as the community suggested. The developers ended up going into battle mode and interacted with the hateful trolls on the internet, throwing aside all the people that stood by their side whom were urging them to stop feeding the haters. The way in which this was handled caused immense backlash for Indiestone, which would haunt them for months if not years to come. And this whole ordeal revealed how much Indiestone struggles with maintaining good PR, which will come to haunt them again later on. A few months ago, Lemmy came forward to express how proud they are of the community to this day and how they have learned from trauma, which likely refers to the whole burglary fiasco mentioned earlier, and how they now realize the importance of maintaining a positive PR.
Absolutely honest, I would say I'm more proud of the community we've built than the game. Yeah, it's a big deal to us because, as I said, like we made a lot of mistakes in our early days, and we went through a bit of a trial by fire, and we made a lot of enemies on the internet with certain things I'm not going to talk about. But everyone who's been a long time fan knows we kind of learned all our mistakes in community management and PR and stuff very early on, and it kind of forged us into something harder. We sort of got it relatively early, and the community that we've got around the game is like amazing. It's nothing we could ever have imagined.
Despite this newly found revelation, this did not stop them from getting into trouble for doing the exact same thing not long after. As many are aware, Lemmy publicly said the beta of Build 42 will be released in the first half of 2024, which, as you all know, didn't end up happening. This caused quite a few people to get upset about the developers not making their own set deadlines, which in turn only strengthened a group of people that were calling the developers slow this whole time. But before we dive deeper into this, it's important to understand that not all people are solely upset by the fact that the release date isn't met, but rather that the developers decided to personally push back against the community again through various socials, instead of making a coordinated statement as a company and leaving it at that. One of these examples is a comment left on one of Atomic Duck's videos named "It's time we talk about Build 42." On this video, Lemmy placed a now deleted comment where he addresses the delay and what is going on behind the scenes to hopefully calm the community down. In this comment, Lemmy starts by saying he hasn't watched the video for mental health reasons, saying he feels like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders right now, and that the comments make him feel like chewing the lips off his face. Lemmy then follows up saying they have no idea when the update is actually ready, and that they don't do release dates for that reason, and that the community should be careful what they wish for. Unironically, this was written after Lemmy had himself promised a release date on Reddit, meaning at the time of making the Reddit comment he had no idea if that release date could even be met in the first place, and admits he knew it was a bad idea to be doing it. By giving a release date anyway, the developers placed themselves in quite a difficult situation, as this has brought the hopes of the community up, and with it, their expectations. Only for all of it to be crushed when the promised release date eventually came around. This event resulted in quite a bit of backlash from the community and further fueling the idea that the developers are slow. Still don't know how people can defend their development cycle. It should not take almost 3 years to create a new patch. You've sold a lot of games, hire more people, effectivize your work environment cause bruh, this ain't it. Why the is it taking a decade for this game to not be done yet? As all this was unfolding on various socials, the community managers of the Zomboid subreddit were in active damage control mode, labeling posts regarding development time as misleading, despite that being questionable, or they would just delete comments and posts outright until there were too many to keep up with even funny memes getting flooded with comments that don't speak favorably about the developers. Careful, Lemmy might sell the company if you keep going. Wow, so from the look of things, the devs are basically a bunch of fragile children who never rant about anything positive, never mention any praise comments, but go on a rampage because mean comments and harassment, and people are white knighting them left, right and center. Got it. Lemmy's reason for the delay was that there were further delays due to unavoidable private issues with people in his team, which is a reasonable explanation if it was left at that. However, he also expresses how the team feels like they get strung up each time they aren't ready by the time of release, and that next time we should just push it out half-baked like most do and see how people like that. Or how they could just not communicate at all like most companies and just announce the build once it's almost ready. Comments such as these set quite a petty tone and makes it seem like everyone is against them and that it's all the fault of the community. Lemmy also writes that he will never drip feed content, excluding bug fixes, which I think is the right decision here. Releasing small content updates would just keep breaking the game's mods that most people rely on and in turn generate more frustration as well. Just like Tellworlds does with Mountain Blade Bannerlord. Like I can't go a month without having all my mods break after each small meaningless update. And I wouldn't wish for this to happen to Project Zomboid either. Anyway, the long YouTube comment continues with notions that people will hate them regardless of what they do, that they are insulted by being called slow, and that we shouldn't let him talk himself into selling the company, as he has many potential buyers lined up already. He then closes the comment off by saying he won't be addressing the community again. You would think that this is where the story ends, but there is more to this situation than that meets the eye. The developers have mentioned being harassed relentlessly, which some in the community thought was referring to the critiques they were receiving at the time. This misconception sparked Indiestone's community manager Nasco to write a Reddit post to clear the air, whilst at the same time also going on a bit of an emotional rant, saying that it's crazy that people think the claims of harassments are referring to level-headed and constructive criticism, and that it's insulting that they are being told to grow a thick skin and not overreact. In reality, the harassment that Indiestone was facing was from more than just a common disgruntled fan. According to Nasco, the developers were getting targeted on various social media platforms with abuse, which eventually extended into their personal lives, targeting their former employers and family members with messages from people telling them to kill themselves outright. Or in some cases, some decided to take an even more sinister approach. Some individuals delved deeper into the lives of the Indiestone developers and uncovered more personal information which could be used to harm them. For instance, one developer has 2 cats, so some sick individuals would submit bug reports containing cat gore to harass the developers. As to my knowledge, this is the type of harassment that broke the camel's back for the developers and ultimately led them to fuel this whole PR nightmare surrounding the Build 42 delay we've seen once again. Even Nasco's efforts to stop the dumpster fire from spreading wasn't very well received due to how emotionally loaded it was, which made many see it as another emotional outburst, with some begging for Indiestone to hire a PR firm to prevent this from happening again in the future. Since this has happened, the developer Lemmy has removed himself from interacting with the community and his Twitter account remains deactivated. The unstable version of Build 42 is still planned to release this year despite the initial delay, so soon we will get our hands thoughts on it, and if not, I suppose I will see you all again in the next drama video. If you found this video fun or insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe as I'm trying to reach 10,000 subs. If you've come this far, I thank you for watching till the end, and I will see you all again very soon.